Most Elliott wave you see online, rubbish. I'm a CMT with published research in the Journal of Technical Analysis. My course, Learn Pure Elliott Wave, is different. No dull PowerPoints, just unique interactive exercises that make the method stick. $100 off for 24 hours only. Don't miss it. Click the link and learn Elliott Wave the right way. Hello everybody, this is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with an update for Elliott Wave and technical analysis for XRP USD for you. I'm going to focus on Elliott Wave. I focused on technical analysis in my last video just a few days ago. This upward movement for all of the price data for XRP, well, first of all, someone's asking me why I start here and not here. This is the first lowest low or highest high within the movement. So this is where you have to start the Elliott Wave analysis from. From this low to this high, there's a completed 5-wave structure. 1, zigzag for 2, 3, triangle for 4, fifth wave. There's really nice proportion between 4 and 2, a nice alternation. Fourth waves are mostly more brief than counterpart second waves for all cryptos. I have seen another wave count that sees 1, 2, 3, 4 ending here as a triangle. I've been asked to comment on that. That's entirely valid, and when triangles unfold in a fourth wave position, they can be more long lasting than their counterpart second waves. But the problem of proportion there is really quite extreme. The second wave would have lasted 11 months, and if it was over here, the fourth wave would have lasted 78 months. That means the fourth wave would be over 7 times the duration of the second wave. That really is too great a disproportion for that to be a reasonable consideration. You can't try and resolve it somewhat by seeing the second wave complete here, because then it would end in a truncation, because C wouldn't move beyond the end of A. Now, your data source might be a bit different, and you might have a slightly different wave count. Different data sources will have slightly different wave counts, and that's okay. But with this data source from Bitstamp, it works, it just doesn't look very good. So that's a big reason why from this low to this high, I've got a complete 5-step forward pattern that's followed by a 3-step back pattern. That's your most basic Elliott wave pattern. 5 steps forward, 3 steps back. So we're looking for another 5 steps forward. I've updated my duration for primary 3, and I'm leaving my duration for cycle 3. Cycle 3 beginning here in the month of March 2020. If it lasts a Fibonacci 8 years, it may end March 2028. Primary wave 1 lasted 42 months. That's 3.5 years, and cycle wave 1 lasted 3.5 years. Cycle wave 2, just over 2 years. I expect cycle 3 to be a long extension. When waves extend, they do so in price and time, so I expect it to last longer than cycle waves 1 and 2. So a Fibonacci 8 years looks about right. This is not a Fibonacci ratio. This is the length of primary wave 3 to primary wave 1 within cycle wave 1. If we see that relationship again here at cycle degree, then cycle 3 may end 48.94. That's where I get that calculation. It's happened before, so it could happen again. Within cycle 3, primary wave 3, I'm using the same ratio. If it exhibits that same relationship, could end about 27.44. Primary wave 3 has now lasted a Fibonacci 34 months this month, and the structure is incomplete, and it hasn't moved far enough above the end of primary wave 1 to allow room for primary 4 to unfold and remain above primary wave 1 price territory, meeting that core Elliott wave rule. So the structure of primary 3 should be incomplete. It may only subdivide as an impulse. If it lasts a Fibonacci 55 months, this is the next Fibonacci number in the sequence, then it may end June 2027, give or take up to 3 months either side of that date. So we'll be looking at a 6-month window, and this is how I use these time estimates. Within that 6-month window, if the structure of primary 3 is complete and the ratio of primary 3 to primary 1 looks about right, then I'll be looking for the end. Then I'll be looking for bearishness to identify the end of primary wave 3 with a complete Elliott wave structure within that 6-month window, focusing mostly around the month of June 2027. Primary wave 3 may only subdivide as an impulse. That will be labelled intermediate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just a note, if you want to make a comment on my waves and you want to ask me a question, please use the name of the degree I'm referring to. And if you want, you can go to my website, and on the footer of every page is a quick free PDF you can download. You don't need to give me your email address, just click it and download it. It's got a notation of all of the different notations, the colors, and ways I use to label my Elliott wave analysis with the degrees and the expected duration for each degree, so it's a handy guide. If you have that next to you, it will be much easier to read these charts. So we're looking for an impulse for primary wave 3. Within the impulse, 1 and 2 may be complete, 3 is incomplete. When it arrives, 4 may not move into wave 1 price territory below 0.9301. This base channel is important. It's drawn around primary waves 1 and 2 from the start of 1 to the end of 2 with a parallel copy at the end of 1. The lower edge is around about where intermediate 2 found support, some overshoots. The upper edge should be breached by the power of the middle of a third wave. So when intermediate 3 gets towards its end, we should see price move above that channel. We may see a backtest of support before price moves up and away toward the target for primary wave 3. Let's take a look at the weekly time frame. I think we're going to go from the low of intermediate 2 down here. No, we're going to look at all of primary wave 3. Here's the start of primary wave 3. The start of primary wave 3, the start of this impulse, a leading expanding diagonal for intermediate wave 1 lasted a Fibonacci 34 weeks. Intermediate 2, a triple zigzag, lasts 51 weeks, falls short of a Fibonacci 55. And intermediate wave 3 may only subdivide as an impulse. It's too short to see it complete here, and this is too brief to see intermediate 4, and there's just not enough of a gap between 1 and 4 price territory, so I've moved the degree of labeling here to -1 and -2. So this wave count now is extremely bullish for XRP. It's expecting the middle of a third wave at multiple degrees is in a very early stage. Now we may see hesitancy and more sideways movement as corrections unfold within the earlier stages of intermediate 3. XRP doesn't tend to go vertical until we get right through the middle and the end of these third waves. I've now got 2 time estimations for when minor wave 3 may end. I'm using an extreme Fibonacci ratio to calculate a potential target for it. At 22.29 it would reach 6.854, the length of minor wave 1. If it ends the week beginning November 3rd 2025, so this year, then it would last a Fibonacci 34 weeks. If it takes longer to complete the structure, the next Fibonacci number in the sequence is 55. So if it lasts a Fibonacci 55 weeks, it may end week beginning April 26th next year. So that's when I expect minor 3 may end. Now do be aware that you have to be flexible with these numbers. Look at this. Fibonacci 34, yes, right on, but 51, 4 short of a Fibonacci 55. Not all waves will exhibit a duration on the Fibonacci number sequence, and so these durations may not be met. They are rough estimates, periods of time to be alert for a potential end, not have an absolute idea of that's when it must end. That's how these estimations work. I don't know, for some people I think that's a difficult concept to wrap their heads around. I don't know why, but anyway, it's just a guideline of when I think they might end. And I'm not using it for my own investment purposes. I began buying quite a lot of XRP in 2019. I'm still holding, it's all doing very, very well, and I'm not selling until either the end of primary 3 or preferably my original goal was the end of cycle 3, but it depends when that ends and how old I am when it gets there. Let's take a look now at the daily time frame. We're going to look at the end of minute wave 2. This low down here is this low down here on the daily chart. Here's a really nice curved impulse. It has a slower start, accelerates through the middle and explodes at the end. It has a nice curved look, a little bit similar to exponential growth. This is a really typical look for an impulse within cryptocurrencies, especially XRP with its extreme volatility. This is what you look for to identify a market that is forming financial bubbles. They have growth that's similar to exponential growth. So we have minuet wave 1 here lasting 26 days, no Fibonacci number. Minuet 2 complete here potentially as a zigzag lasting 45 days. Again, no Fibonacci number, so just be aware my estimates on when waves may end for the future based on the Fibonacci number sequence is an estimate, and we might not see them exhibit a Fibonacci number. Minuet 2 complete here, so this wave count now expects minuet 3 within minute 3 within minor 3 within intermediate, primary and cycle 3, a third wave at 6 degrees. Now I do expect a continuation of that slower end. I don't think XRP is going to go vertical for a little while yet. While other markets have pullbacks or consolidations, this one may have a slow upward trend with consolidations and pullbacks along the way. So that's how I reconcile my Bitcoin Elliott wave count with this XRP Elliott wave count. The other thing to note is they are really different markets. They don't always move together. Look at this at the monthly time frame. XRP has been pretty much going sideways since January 2018, which is here, but Bitcoin's been going higher. So they don't have to move together. They have different forms, they have different wave counts. This chart looks really different to this chart, to this huge sideways consolidation, now starting on an upward breakout. Really quickly, let's have a look at some technicals just on the daily today for XRP. The moving average situation is overall bullish. We have the short 13-day moving average below the mid 55-day moving average, above the long 200-day moving average. The purple 55-day average crosses above the green 200-day moving average back here. This is a golden cross. And now we see price moving sideways with resistance fairly strong, about 3.32 to 3.4, and support pretty strong, about 2.7. Swinging between resistance and support, back up to resistance within this consolidation. A few days ago, we had the completion of an evening star with these three candlesticks, and this candlestick here is a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern. So we may get a little bit of a consolidation or pullback. Within upward movement, there's a little bit of a push from volume, but overall, as price moves sideways in this big consolidation, volume is declining. ADX is now declining, indicating there is no clear trend at the daily time frame. So we should use a model of stochastics plus support and resistance, and that would tell us that price might have fallen a bit short of resistance, about 3.32 to 3.4, because stochastics fully reached overbought and it's fully negative, now moving through neutral. So we might see that swing down to support about 2.7 to continue until stochastics reaches oversold simultaneously. That's how the model would expect price to behave. That's just a model for price behavior, something to be aware of that could be reasonably likely, not a definitive that's how price must behave. This is all an exercise in probability. As price moves sideways, we're not only seeing volume decline, we're seeing ATR strongly decline. This is very typical behavior for price during a consolidation. The consolidation will end and price will break out of this consolidation. We need to see a close above 3.4, preferably a close to new all-time highs above 3.666. If we see a close to new all-time highs, expect energy to be released to the upside. Until that happens, we could get plenty of more consolidation. Look for support to continue to hold, most likely about 2.7. And that's it from me today with your XRP analysis. I'm going to try and give you 1 or 2 videos every week now that I'm a bit more settled and things have started to calm down. I'm in New Zealand with my family, having some much needed support after the death of my husband a few months ago. So starting to feel a little bit more okay and starting to get back into work a bit more regularly. Thank you for your patience.